Hey guys, it's Craig with Patriot Training Center, and today we have a video and we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of the red dot, why the red dot is actually better than the iron sight. The first thing here, if you've trained with the red dot, you tend to notice that you're able to realize that you can shoot faster and you can actually acquire the sighting system faster than with the irons. Now, with that being said, you can train with both and become just as fast with both, but typically, you will see a big increase in your skill from iron sights to red dot because the red dot allows you to get that target acquisition quicker. That being said though, you do have to train a lot with the iron sights in order to ensure that you can actually pick up that sight quickly. And that just comes with a lot of dry fire and a lot of training with the actual dot, because you can't just pick it up and expect it to fix all of your problems. That is one thing with the red dot, is it does require training and it requires a little bit more attention to what you're doing. So another thing, going back to target acquisition, is the irons are at a little bit of a disadvantage because you're having to line up your front post and your rear notch with perfect height and perfect light. So unlike the iron sights, the red dot projects a little dot onto the glass that's within the optic. And what that can really allow you to do is solely look at your target and just put the dot onto the target, allowing you to make faster hits and you can be more precise with it. So going into the whole projecting the dot onto the target and you just having to look at the target, with a red dot, you become a lot more target focused than you do sight focus. So what do I mean by that? Well, on your iron sights, you're having to line up not only your front post and your rear notch, but you're having to look at your front sight when you're on target. So that means you're focusing on the sight and you're not looking at your possible target. Allowing you to look at your target and just overlay this dot onto the target. And that's really good because you can keep your eyes on the target and not having to look at this little bump on the front of your gun, which means you can make quicker decisions and you can be a little bit more accurate with it. So the red dot is also very precise compared to your iron sights. So when you start moving back to distance, because this doesn't really matter at about 3 to about 5 yards, 7 yards, having a more precise aiming reference will help you a lot when you move back to say 10, 15, 25 yards, especially if you're trying to shoot a very small target at that distance. So about roughly your front sight on your iron sighted gun is going to be about a 32 MOA circle, basically. So when you move back to 25 or even 15 yards, that circle starts to take up the whole target. And what that can result in a little bit is you not being able to make as accurate hits as you would like. But with the red dot, what I've noticed a lot of is when you're back at that 15, 25 yards, what you end up noticing is not only are you looking at the target, but you've got this little dot there telling you exactly where your round's going to hit, and it's a lot more precise because you can actually look at your target and see, okay, my dot is not quite there yet, dot's not quite there. Okay, good, 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 good. Slowly press the trigger back to the rear. That's one very big benefit I see in running a red dot, is being able to make those more precise hits, especially at distance. So a little bit of cons with the red dot is they are battery operated. So I don't know if you can see here, but there is a little battery notch into the optic that you have to make sure that you change and you keep up with it, because eventually red dots will die if they don't have battery. And that is a con, especially if you're always busy and you're not actually paying attention to it. You have to be really on top of changing the batteries in these red dots because they are likely to die. So a little tip to help with that is I usually choose a date each year that I will change the battery on. I've chosen my birthday just because I know my birthday for a fact and I can't really forget it. So on my birthday, I will change out the battery on this, and then next year I will also change the battery on it on my birthday. The other kind of con, I would say, kind of a con, is actually mounting it onto the gun. Because you do need to know what torque spec your screws need to be at. You also do need to be paying attention to if your screws are moving like loosening up. So I do have witness marks on my screws to tell me, hey, you need to retorque this, you need to take it off, clean off the screws, re-Loctite it, do all the good things that you're supposed to do to them, and then retorque them down and then check your zero on them. So that is a little bit of a benefit compared to the iron sights, and the red dot is you don't really have to do that with the iron sights due to them already being pretty close to zero at what I believe to be 25 yards if it's a stock Glock. So zeroing, you just heard me say it, is when you're having to actually zero the gun to where the projectile is actually coming out of. So as you can see on the optic here, it sits a little bit higher than my bore here. So what you need to do in order to ensure that the optic is actually lining up or intercepts where the bullet is actually going to be hitting is zeroing this. So here at Patriot Training Center, we actually zero our optics at 10 yards because that's a pretty good medium and where most of us can actually shoot pretty accurately and get a pretty accurate zero at that time. Zeroing is super important because I have had optics come out of the box and at 10 yards they are like 3-4 inches to the right, left, up, down, diagonal, however it is. That can be a problem, especially if it's on your carry gun, because you want to be able to make very good hits. With the iron sights though, and this is where I think iron sights actually kind of are less maintenance because they are less maintenance, is they come zeroed from the factory at 25 yards. You still want to check it and make sure it's actually hitting where you're aiming, but 99.9% of the time, I've not had a problem with these actually hitting where I'm aiming. I've never had to do any kind of zeroing process. I've never had to like actually move the rear sight or adjust the front sight or any of that stuff because they're usually already pretty set on. If any of you guys are planning on switching to a dot after this video, and you want to be able to get better and actually benefit from using a red dot, go down below. We have a 30-day dry fire program. It'll get you to where your skills need to be, and you'll become better at using a red dot or irons, even if you're planning on using irons. So go down below, check out that link, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.